I Aleph Amud Beis.
Aleph Amud Beis. So yesterday we had a story that started about Rabbi Yochanan, that he didn't want to give his daughter, he wanted his daughter to marry. He was from Babel, and the whole story before had said that Babel is a better yichus than Eretz Yisrael, and therefore he didn't want to marry Rabbi Yochanan's daughter. And Rabbi Yochanan questioned the diuk of the Mishnah. We learned at the beginning of the parak that the Mishnah says they came up from Babel, and it means that Ezra cleaned it out, and the yichus of Babel is taka better. So Zivi was right. But Rabbi Yochanan said it's not muchach because the fact that it says that Kohen Leviim Yisraelim came up, it doesn't mean it took everybody up. So also the diuk of the psulim that came up doesn't mean everybody came up. But the Gemara says that was Rabbi Yochanan standing that the diuk of the Mishnah is not a good diuk. But the Gemara does say Lamais or Belazar said that Ezra did clean it out. Another story we had that Ula saw that Rav Yehuda did not marry off his son Rav Yitzchak. Why not? He was already old enough of marriage. He didn't marry. So why not? So he said because he's looking for good yichus. And Ula challenged him that we don't know. You don't know your yichus. Maybe in the earlier generations, maybe a goy or an Evan had relations with the Bas Yisrael and they produced a mamzer. The Gemara says no. Maybe Havlat kosher. But then the Gemara says also there were people that were Mezana with Eish Sish, and there might have been those people. Even though Ezra did clean them out, it could be that these kind of mamzerim were more secretive. It wasn't like they had an Eish Sish mamish. It was they swapped their wives and they could have kept it quiet. It's something that could have been a pshat that even though Ezra cleaned out the mamzerim, but there were some mamzerim that were concealed. So you don't know your yichus either. So why being so makbid? But if you'd asked him anyways, so what should I do? Just marry anybody? So he said, go according to those that are quiet. And it brings the issue, that's where the Gemara starts, that there's the issue of shtikusa. Maybe we can start from here. What did we do yesterday? The fourth white line. What should I do to find a good yichus? Go according to those that are quiet. If they're quiet, then they don't, when there's a fight, and they're the ones who are silent, so that's assuming that they have good yichus. In Eretz Yisrael, that's what they would do. When there would be a fight between two people, they would look on to see they would see which one quiets down first. The one who quiets down first is the one that's more miyuchas of the two. Period. Amar Rav. Shtiku say the Babel Hani Yechusa. Two gersos over here. Either the shtika is the yichus or the yichus is the shtika.
Excuse me, that would be a general rule. It's
right.
a general rule, even without yichus.
It's always a good thing. The Mishnah, the Pirkei says, but here, right, true. But here we're looking for yichus, and it says it's similar for the yichus also.
And we can learn for anybody, right?
What?
You can learn it for if you're looking for a good shidduch.
Right. That's what it's saying. That's mamish what it's saying.
Yeah.
That people that are quiet when it comes with a fight, something that comes to a fight, then they're not aggressive in the fight. They'll back down. So that's a siman. So Rashi says something about the fact that it might be psychological. The fact that people were staying away from them because there was a psul in the family. So maybe they became more aggressive. They had problems with people. Their interpersonal relationships were challenged because people stayed away from their family, so they got insulted. That could be a reason why. Or you could say there's something in the midas. You could say it's in the genes that maybe psulim are. Yesterday, earlier the Gemara said that avodim is a similar of Az's panim if they were avodim. There's also they bring down a medrash, Mesechus Kala, that says that mamzerim are also Azay panim. That probably has something to do in their nature because of the way that they were, what they were made out of, not dafka because of interpersonal relationships. Rashi doesn't say that. Rashi just says because they were psulim, so people stayed away from them and that they aggravated them. And that's why they started getting into the offensive mode.
He said that one day when he was teaching, there was somebody in the shir with his son, and he slapped his son. And usually he doesn't get distracted, but so when he mentioned to somebody like to go, he went over to talk to him, and the guy slapped him. Whoa. but that's.
They weren't learning. They were learning this daf. They weren't learning this daf at the time. Here it says that someone.
I think it happened before this, but there was. Whoa, yeah, whoa.
The yichus is the silence. Means it seems to say that even in Babel. Now the question is, Babel was the big yuchas place, but it happens. But even in Babel, also over the generations, things could happen. Also, even after Ezra cleaned it up, but things could happen to make more psulim. So they used to check in the yichus, in the shtika. If people were quiet, that's how they used to check out that it's more yuchas. We had here that Rav Yehuda was in Babel, and he also wanted to know how to check out. So he said, even in Babel, also check out who's more quiet. Any, is that true? That's the way to check out. But Rav said so. Ikla Rav to a certain place, whatever the gears is, that he did bodek. It sounds like he didn't rely on the fact that they were just quiet. My love yichusa, doesn't he mean that they checked out their yichus and going to find out the records, and he didn't just rely on the silence? Lo ishtikusa. He didn't check out the records. He checked out who was quiet. That's what we meant to tell the people, check out if they're quiet or not. When you want to see a yichus, ask what happens when they get into a fight. Shemesh, and the similar Gemara, not exactly, it's a different idea. If you see two people that they fight, they bicker with each other, they don't get along. It could be that they have bad midos, but here it's saying something else could be. One of them has a lineage problem that they don't know about even maybe, but Hashem is orchestrating in order to keep the clean family separated. They're not going to marry. These two families are not going to marry with each other because they're in a fight of some sort. Always these two families don't get along. Here it talks about two bnei Adam, but the Gemara is going to say soon again about two mashpachos. It's the same idea. There are two people that we find that they're always not getting along, and maybe there's no obvious reason why. It's that Hashem is orchestrating it that they shouldn't intermarry because one family is pure in the lineage, the other one is not. Hashem didn't want to mess up the pure lineage. That's Hashem's way. One of Hashem's ways of making sure that they shouldn't intermarry.
If they're argumentative.
Yes, the word misgoros usually means that the one is provoking. One is provoking each other. So one of them has a shemetz psul. The word shemetz means some kind. Doesn't mean mamash psul. Shemetz like a small. There's some tainted lineage problem, and Hashem does not let them to cling to each other. And the same thing over again in a little different way. I'm Rabbi Shua ben Levi. It's the same thing. I'm not sure what the difference is. Before it says Shnei bnei Adam, and here it says Shnei mishpachos. The same thing. You have like family feuds. These two families don't get together. It's because Hashem wants to avoid them intermarrying because one of the families is a tainted lineage and the other one is pure. Hashem wanted to keep the other one pure. Bavel Bria. Bavel is healthy. Meshan Misa. Meshan is dead. Names of places. Mada is sick. Elam Goseses. Elam is a Goses. So he's saying all the mashal for the purity of lineage. Bavel is healthy. Very, very good lineage. Meshan is dead. Rashi says they're all problematic. The whole city is problematic. We had a Gemara earlier that said that Sarah Kabin Azus, I think over there, came down to, and Meshan got 9/10 out of it. And Rashi over there says because they are mamzerim ma'azim. So as far as yichus goes, Babel is healthy. Meshan is dead. Mardai is sick, and Elam is a goses. And the Gemara says, what's the difference between a sick and goses? Goses means when somebody's expiring. It's called the goses. Ma'vin chodon the gosesin. What does it mean as far as we're talking about? Rov chodon l'chaim, rov gosesin l'misa. Most people they get better again, and most gosesim die. So here the person going to be that Mada is chola, that means, but most of them are kosher, but there's a mir that are bad yichus, and Elam, most of them are apostle. So you have four places: Bavel, Mishan, Madai, and Elam. Bavel is the best, Mishan is the worst, Madai is number 2. Means if you go in order, you'd say healthy, sick, Gosei is dead. So Bavel is best, Madai is second, Elam is third, Mishan is the fourth. So we said Bavel is great. Now a very large section of today's Gemara is not relevant at all. It just wants to know the borders of the ancient Babel that were considered good yichus, and has nothing to do with us nowadays because no one's there. And if there are a couple of people over there, has nothing to do with these borders, nothing to do with yichusim, nothing. So it's all historical that they needed in those days, and it's going to talk about the borders of Babel as far as yichus.
So that's Iraq and Iran?
Iraq, right? Mostly Iraq. I put it on the map over here. Let's see if we can get it on. What do I have here? This one on the map over here.
Iraq is Bovel?
Iraq is Bavel. And let's see in a second. Why is it not coming on? There it is. So I put it on the map over here, if that helps us. That this is the Euphrates over here on the left. This is the Euphrates River. And this on the right is the Tigris River. You see that? You see that?
Yeah.
That Tigris and Euphrates. That's the Prus. The Prus is Euphrates. Hidekel is the Tigris. And in between them is called Ben Anahoros, between the two rivers, and that's Bavel. Here you have this Baghdad over here someplace before. Let's see if I could get it up. Anybody see Baghdad? Here's
Yeah,
Baghdad.
right there.
Here's Baghdad.
Wow.
Baghdad is the city Bavel. There's a city Bavel. There's a whole country Bavel, and this whole area that we're talking about is what the Gemara is going to be discussing between the Euphrates and Tigris.
So Baghdad is Bovel.
Baghdad is the city
It's the city
Bavel. And that's now the capital, probably the capital
Yeah,
of
it's
Iraq.
capital of- yeah.
So that was the city called Babel, and
Baghdad's
it's
right
on,
on the river, right?
it's on the river, right? I see it. Yeah, it's on the Tigris. It's on the Tigris over here. Okay, here you have it. That's probably it's probably the Tigris. Okay, so the Gemara is going to talk about the border, the boundaries of where the Yichus goes till. It's going to talk about Tigris on the bottom, south, and the Tigris on the north, and the Euphrates on the north. It's going to talk about the boundaries, which has no relevance to today. So the Gemara said it because in those days it was relevant, but not nowadays. Back to the
And
Gemara.
it was for who would be, if they were within that area.
So then they chazaka that they're good miyuchasim, that they're good yichus.
And Bovel had a lot of Jews living here at that time.
Yeah, the main yishuv was in Bavel. Yeah, Eretz Yisrael was difficult to be in, and it
Right.
wasn't.
So Bovel was number one.
And here we're talking about that Ezia even had better yichus than Eretz Yisrael because Ezra cleaned them out. So back to the Gemara. Where did the Gemara go? Oh, this is the Gemara. Yeah, here's the Gemara. Okay, Adechani Bavel. What are the boundaries of Bavel? To know that it's a good yichus. Rav Amar Ad Nahar. Now, this place, I'm not going to translate anything because we know it doesn't make a difference so much for us. And we know where it is, even if we want to know, we don't know where these places are. Rav Amar Ad Nahar Azak. Shmuel Amar Ad Nahar Yuane. Period. So this seems Rashi says is talking about past because of the rest of the Gemara coming up. So process of elimination. This is talking about east of the Tigris. That it doesn't only go till the Tigris. It even goes further to the east, and there's a river over there. One Madam said Nah Razak, one said Nah Yuani, whatever that is. Then the question, maybe let's highlight it a little bit just to get the Arechani Bavel. That was this question. And the Gemara and Rashi says it means east of the Tigris. And then the El Bediglas Arecha. Diglas is the Tigris. Of high, which means north. North of the Tigris, where's the boundary? Rav Amar Ad Bagda, the Avna, these two places, Shmuel Amar Ad Mushchani, period. The Gemara asks the question, Mushchani means not including Mushchani. Mushchani is already not a good yichus. Maybe we'll put that in parentheses. Below Mushchani, when you say Mushchani, do you mean not including Mushchani is very out of bounds? Mushchani already go to Yochsin. Shmuel saying that Mushchani is mamish like Gola. Gola means like the center of the Gola. I think they say this is usually Gola. That means like the center of Bavel was good for Yuchsin. So it says Mushchani is as good as the Merkaz, as good as the center, as the best place. So you see that Mushchani was a good Yuchsin. How could you say that Mushchani is not included? Mushchani B'chlal. Okay, he meant when he said Mushchani, he didn't mean not including. He meant that was also included in the good borders. Fine. That was a question of Diglas on the north, Bagda, Va'avna, or Mushchani. The next question. Where is the Tachlis B'Diglas Ad Heichal on the bottom, which will mean south. South with the Diglas, where's the border where the Yichus stops? Rav Shmuel Ad Apamya Tata until the bottom of Apamya. There's two Apamyas, I think Mo's going to say now. Again, we'll try to put in parentheses. The answer was till the bottom. Tata. Tata means lower. Lower, like you have today. What do you have? The lower. What do you have? Which cities do you say? Lower something? Yeah, Bethhoron, Galilee, the lower Galilee, upper Galilee, lower Galilee. So there was two Apamyas. Tati Apam Yahavi, and there are two Apamyas. Chad Elisa v'chad Tatiasa. One the upper one, and one is the lower one. Chad Ksher v'chad Psula. One of them is kosher for Yuchsin, and one of them is puzzle for Yuchsin. Now here he said until the lower Apamya.
Not including maybe.
Oh, not including. Very nice. That before we said that it's a chiddush to say that it's.
Mushchani means without Mushchani.
Then we said
So
no.
that right, but the Pasha says you mean until without including. So mitato is very bad. So here it says one is kosher, one is not. What?
Meaning
The higher one is kosher
still
still, and then the bottom one is not kosher anymore. Between Tizu Apamias, there's a parsa in between. Parsas like 4 kilometers to Kakapti Adadi, and they are akbid not to mingle with each other. Maybe because of this reason, Gufa, that they had kosher, they're not kosher. They didn't want to get mixed up. They wanted the pamia, the kosher pamia, to stay kosher, so they didn't mingle. They wouldn't even lend to each other fire, which means they didn't lend each other's things. Even though I don't get the exact
that you don't lose.
what.
Fire means that you don't lose. If I give you something, so I don't have it. If I give you my fire, so I don't lose.
Even though practically a parsa away to get the fire there is a little difficult, but they didn't even do that. The simonecha, if you want to remember a simon, which one is pasul, which one is kosher, the psulta the mishtaya mishnas, the one who speaks the meshan we had before. Meshan was very bad. Meshan mesa, that meshan was very bad yichus. Meshan mesa, here it was meshan mesa. So the one that speaks the meshan dialect, they're not good. They're the ones that are pasul. That's the lower one. Okay, that's end of that parentheses. So what was the question we just finished answering? The southern diglas till where? Rav Shmuel said until Apamitata. The next question. Now we go to the other river, which is called the Euphrates. That means it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a line straight across from Diglas. So even if you know the Diglas northern border, you have to know the Euphrates northern border over here. Till where's a good yichus? Rav Amar Adakut Tobankni, Ushmuel Amar Ad Gishra, the Bay Prus. So 3 opinions. Till where on the Euphrates is it considered a good yichus? Rav says one place, Shmuel says another place. Gishra means a bridge. Akra, they say some the word for Akra. What is Akra?
Akra.
What does it mean?
A fortress.
I mean, it's a fortress. The fortress of Tobakni or the bridge of Bay Prus. And the Yochanan says until the Ma'avras the Gizma. Ma'avras usually means like also a kind of crossing, some kind of a crossing. And once he said that, what does he say?
Sorry, Akra is what?
Akra is Makom Mavar Nahar, the last port.
Mhm.
I thought Akra.
I think probably the proofs like you. Okay.
And this is all in bubbles.
All above. This is on the northern part,
border.
up on the Prus, along the Euphrates. So the northernmost that you still can say that it's a good yichus. So 3 opinions. Rav Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan. Light Abai v'tem Rav Yosef ad Rav. Abai would curse, means saying that it's wrong. If somebody would take yichus from what Rav says Akra de Tobakni, that it's pretty high up, and Abai said that's too far up to assume that it's kosher yichus. If somebody would marry, Abai said no good. And the Gemara is wondering, as Rav lied that the Shmuel lo lied. The Gemara is saying that Rav seems to be that's furthest north. That's why Abai wasn't happy with that, and Shmuel was okay. Shmuel means that it's not as north as Rav, but that's not true because Shmuel's bridge over there, Gishra the Beit Prus, seems to be even more north. So it doesn't make sense that he cursed on those who would marry on the Rav's border and on the Shmuel's border. That's a kasha. I would like that. The Rav Kolskin of the Shmuel, of course, even Rav and Shmuel's even more north. That's surely not a good yichus. And the Chanami, that's one terrace. And I can say another terrace also that he only cursed on Rav's border, not on Shmuel's border. The Olam of the Rav lied, or the Shmuel lied. He didn't curse on those who did it married from Shmuel's border because Gishra the Beit Prus is really Letatoi Habakoi. The bridge of Prus, which Shmuel said, is really south of Rav's border, and that's why it's still within the line. But we now did that obviously the Gemara held in the Kasha that it was more north. So what happened? Because originally in Shmuel's time, in Abaya's time, it was south of Rav's border, Idna, right? Idna have who the Yua parsa. Now, in our time, that we're looking back and saying Abai said that the Rav's border is no good and Shmuel's border is good. I'm not sure, but at least in Shmuel's time, Shmuel's border was south of Rav's, and that's why Abai wasn't upset about Shmuel's border, only about Rav's border. Nowadays, if you look at it, you find the bridge is more north. That surely don't go. They don't even go past Rav's border.
What changed?
They changed the bridge.
The whole bridge went.
The bridge was changed. The bridge was moved. So the landmark we talked about is not the same landmark. we talk, if you go to the bridge now, you're out of bounds. But the bridge in the time of Shmuel and Abaye, I
Much
imagine,
further south.
whatever, it was Shmuel, but Shmuel, but that's making a difference what Abaye's time was. I mean, well,
That
Shmuel meant,
bridge
Shmuel
could have,
meant,
worn out or whatever, and then
they made a new bridge, whatever reason they had to change the bridge,
Nice.
but it's not a kind of landmark that stays forever. So when Shmuel said it, he was talking about something which was not as north as Rav, and Rav was the most north, and I said Rav's too far away. Amalei Abaye Rav Yosef. Lahagisa the Prasad Hecha. Not a question now. We had already 3 questions. We had Tigris north and south. We had Euphrates north. We didn't talk about Euphrates south, and Rashi and Tosfos talk about it. But okay, that's a question. Why doesn't it talk about the southern border of the Pras? But it does talk about Lahagisa the Prasad Hecha, which means west of the Euphrates. The first Gemara spoke about Rashi said it meant east of the Tigris. Now we're talking about west of the Euphrates. How far could you go? Amalei my daitach mishum Beiram. What are you concerned about? You want to know Beiram? Beiram seems to be a city which is west of the Euphrates. You want to know if they're kosher? That's great. Even the big Miyuchasim of Pumbedisa I think is Gola. That's like the Spitz. That's the best Yichus. And even the Miyuchasim of Pumbedisa they marry from Beiram. Beiram is surely good. And there seems to be no question after that anymore. So you don't have to know that. If you know that Beiram is good, so there's no other question you have to talk about as far as west of the Euphrates. Okay, beautiful. We have all of the boundaries of Bavel in the year, I don't know, like once upon a time that was the Yichus of Bavel. Nowadays it's not relevant.
But it's interesting now that it's like with places. It's like geographical. It's
And
not
when you say that the people stayed in the same
family
places, that they didn't move around so much, they got married, they stayed in the same places, they married from the country, a girl, somebody from the same district, and they didn't change the Yichusim so much. The places. Gemara, which is a little side point. Amra Papa Kimachokis Liyuchsin. 1 second, I missed it. Kimachokis Liyuchsin. Keeps on missing it. Amra Papa Kimachokis Liyuchsin. Kimachokis Gittin. Okay, brings us back to Gittin. We learned in Gittin, maybe Gittin Dinas Hayam. Eretz Yisrael knows the Shema. They have Sheos Netzuris Lekaima, and it says that Babel also was chashav like Eretz Yisrael as far as some issues. So by get that you don't say B'nai Nechtam, B'nai Nechtam. So what's the boundary of Babel? So Papa said that whatever you hold Yuchsin, our whole sugi was Babel. So over there is relevant also for the sugi of Gittin. We didn't talk about it over there, but you could copy and paste the same sugi as over here belongs over there. What's considered Babel as far as B'nai Nechtam, B'nai Nechtam? That was Rav Papa. Rav Yosef Amar Machlokes Yuchsin. Abla Gittin Dibi Aktola the Arba the Yana the Gishra. By Gittin is no machlokes. The Yuchsin doesn't have to do that with the people with the same factor, the same criteria for Git. By Git has to do how much they know the Shema, the Chachomim, or if there's Sheros Mitsuyos, if there's traveling. So that's have to do that with the same issue as Yuchsin. So he says till the second. Rashi says the second lake or Aga pond, the second pond of the bridge, whichever that means. But he says it's not dependent. I don't know which direction it is either. But okay, that was about Gittin. If Gittin has a different, but all this is history, which doesn't have any halachic bearing nowadays. And we don't know what the places are either, and the bridges surely change. Amar Nugamar, Amar Rami Bar Abba. It's also telling you about the boundaries of Bavel. Chavil Yama, there's a place called Chavil Yama. Chavil Yama, Tchilta de Bavel. One shot that says Tchilta means like the end. That's the end boundary, like Tachlis end. So it's the end boundary of Bavel. Doesn't tell you which direction. I'm not sure. Shunya Vagavia, Guvia Tchilta de Chavil Yama, and Chavil Yama itself is a city. So what's the border of Chavil Yama? The place called Shunya Vagavia. First wide line.
This is in what direction?
I don't know. We had already all the directions. I'm not sure. Not only Shunya Vaguvia, but also the city called Tzitzura is also still within Yama, and it's very good yichus. That's the end extreme border of Babel, and Shunya Vaguvia Vitzitzura. You see, whatever Tzitzura is also Tchilta de Chavil Yama. So a Bryce that says that Tzitzura is also within the boundaries. Rav Papa says now it's not a good yichus anymore. He said that these places were good yichus. So this is like the Spitz yichus. Rav Papa said that nowadays the Kusim got mixed in over there, and the Kutim, and they're not the good yichus. So the problem nowadays, even though once upon a time it was good, but nowadays it's not anymore a good yichus. But the Gemara says Velohi, Rav Papa's making a mistake. It's a hud boy minayu velo yavulei. Rashi says one shot that the kuti that became a question, maybe it's not a good yichus. It wasn't that the Papa thought that he got mixed in over there, and there's somebody that married a kuti, and now it's not a good yichus anymore. But the Gemara says it only was a proposed shidduch, that there was a woman that this kuti wanted to marry from this city, but the Maisa they didn't marry her to him. So the yichus is still good. Period. What's that city called Chabal Yama? Papa Zu Prastaborsi. There's a place called Prastaborsi. So that's what Chabal Yama is. We said that that's the extreme end of Bavel, which I don't know which direction. I know I'm in Shot Meshat. Somebody said, I'm from Shot Meshat. That's the name of a place. I'm from Shot Meshat. So Papa Yitzchak Napocha said it's a good yichus because the city of Shot Mesha is in between the two rivers, which I think means between the Tigris and the Euphrates. So that's good. That's the best yichus over there. What does it mean to say that between the what did he want to say? I'm Rabbi, I'm Rabbi Cook, I'm Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, and I'm Horas, Yosin. I'm not sure what that means exactly. It says that Ben Horas between the rivers is as good as Gola. So I'm not sure because that's what Ben Horas is, no? Ben Horas means between the two rivers. Gola means what's Gola? Gola means Pumbedisa. Gola is Pumbedisa. And Ben Horas, any place Ben Horas is good. Okay, that's what we say. That's more or less what we were saying. That rivers, we told you the boundaries of the Tigris, the Euphrates, west, east, north, south. So I'm not sure what happened over here that the Gemara didn't know that Ben Horas is maybe they, I don't know. Where is this city of Shot Meshat? Maybe I'm not sure. Where is Shot Meshat? It's above Ihidakira. There's a place called Ihidakira. It's above Ihidakira. And it's still kosher. Before, when we spoke about, I'll go back a little bit, what was there over there? We wanted to know north of the Pras, still where? So we had Rav Shmuel, Rav Yochanan. There was at the bottom of the page. Rav Yochanan said until Mabras the Gizma, which that's the most northern part of the Euphrates that you could assume is good yichus. And this is already past. It's more north. That's a more kasha. How could he say that it's above the Kira and it's still kosher? Rav Yochanan said that north of Mabras the Gizma is no good anymore. Rabbi Yitzua Nafka. There was a strip of land that still was kosher also. So even though in general the boundary is by Mabarta the Gizma, but there's a strip of land that goes even to lead the Kira over there. Shot Mesha, that's also good. Period. New sugya. Amar Rav Ika Bar Oven Amar Rav Chananel Amar Rav. So we have here Rav Ika Bar Oven. We'll take it slow because the Gemara is going to talk about these people. And he said in the name of Rav Chananel, who said in the name of Rav. He said Chilzon. Maybe it's and maybe it should be above. There's still another guess over here. And Nehavand. So it seems the Gemara coming up with there two places. Is that what the Yud says over here? Do we have such a Yud? Yud. He takes out the Nehavand Lagami over here. Nehavand Lesser B'Ksav Yad, V'chein Mochka Marshal. Okay, because the Gemara is going to say soon that there are two places. One is Chilzon and one is Nehavand. So either take it out or put it above. So he said, let's say Chilzon. Chilzon, the place called Chilzon, Chilzon is a great place. It's a miyuchas, just like Pumbedisa. Who said that? Rav Ika Bar Oven, in the name of Rav Chanan, in the name of Rav. Amalei Abai said to the people, don't listen to Rav Ika Bar Oven. It's not really true. He has a shidduch that he has to marry from this Chilazon, or the river Chilazon, which, because Yevama, his brother died without any children. Rav Ika Bar Oven's brother died without any children, and the woman, the sister-in-law, is from Chilazon. So that's why he said it's a great yichus. But really, there's no evidence that there's such a member from Rav that they really said such a thing. Because he has to marry from there, so he made it up. Either he made it up or whatever. He made it. It's not reliable. And that's what the Gemara said a couple of pages ago. You can't rely on the Talmud Chacham who says a member that we never heard about before, and just when it's to get to him, that's when he tells us we can't rely that he really had it before, which is a big chiddush. You don't trust the Talmud Chacham. They're showing him saying maybe not that Imam is actually intentionally lying, but maybe he's making a comparison with the dummy, something which you think is similar, maybe it's not mamash similar. But anyway, Rabbi said you can't trust Rav Ika Bar Oven. Amalei, so Rav Ika Bar Oven said, don't trust me. I'm saying the name of Rav Chananel. Atu Didi, is it my own member that I'm saying on my own? Rav Chananali, like I said before. Rav Chananel. So Rav Chananel said it. He's not negay b'davar. Azal shaylu Rav Chananel. So they went to ask Rav Chananel, is that true? That Chilzon is a kosher place? Amalahu hachiyam Rav. Yes, he said Chilzon and Niavan or Navan Harei Kigol Yochsin. That it's a good place. It's kosher Yochsin. He's right. He didn't make it up. He who said now that Chilzon and Niavan are kosher places for Yochsin. In the pasuk, it talks about the 10 tribes, and it says that who captured them? Ashur, and he took them to different cities far away from Eretz Yisrael. He took them. Which king is that? Sancherib? No, Shalmaneser. What? No, okay, the king of Ashur took the 10 tribes to a place called Halach, a place called Chabor, a place called Nahar Gozan, and Ori Madai. And now it says, and that pasuk till there's the pasuk. And now the Gemara explains the pasuk. What does each place mean? Chalach zu chilazon. Oh, so what do you see? That the 10 tribes went to chilazon, and that's going to be a problem. The Gemara is going to say soon that being of the 10 tribes went there is a problem. Let's see what the problem is. Chavar zu chadayir, another place. Now goes in is Ginzik, another place. Or in Madai zu chemdon v'chavroseha, Ramila zu nahavan v'chavroseha. A certain city, Chemdon or Navan, together with its suburbs, and the Gemara throws in parentheses, what are the suburbs around Chemdon and Navan? Amashmuel, Prach Mushki, Befuski, Berumki. Okay, these cities are the suburbs. Anyway, what do we have? We had a list of places that the 10 tribes were exiled to. And Amri Rabbi Yochanan Kulam Lepsul, that all these places are. What does it mean to say? That why do we care about knowing what the places are? Because Rabbi Yochanan says that all of them are not a good yichus. Why are they not a good yichus? Because I don't know why 10 tribes went there is not a good psul. Rashi on the corner. Because wherever the 10 tribes went, they intermarried with Goyim. The Goyim intermarried with Goyim. The Goyim married their daughters. How do we know that?
Okay,
we don't know. But that's the fact.
problem.
And therefore, Goy and Eved that married the Jewish girls, either it's a mamzer, even if it's not a mamzer, it's a pogrom, like we said before, pasal miyahavi. So therefore, they're not a good yichus. You're saying that it's great yichus, like Gola, mamish shpitz yichus. It's not because the kash took a long time. That you're saying chilozin is good. Chilozin is good. Chalach is chilozin. That's the 10 tribes. 10 tribes. The Yochanan says you have to be choshish that that the goyim married the girls. Oh, so that's so we figured that's it. So somebody said that chilozin is good. Who said that? Who said chilozin is good? That was that was all thing about Avika bar oven. That's why Abai was probably hesitant about it, because we have somebody says not. So all this was just make a heading over here. All this was about this chilozon place. Maybe Nahavand also, but chilozon. Here it said that he said that it's good. Abai questioned his reliability, even if it's reliable. But Lamaisa Rabba Bakana says that it's not a good yichus in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So we finished about chilozon. And now the Gemara continues about, we just mentioned in parentheses that Mushchi is one of the 10 tribes settled over, one of the places where the 10 tribes settled also. So we'll go into that now. And this is the subject of Mushchi. Kasakadai, new subject. Kasakadai, Mushchi and Mushchani. It sounds very similar, it must be the same city. And here it says Mushchi is not good. And Rabbi Achia Ba'avan and Rabbi Achia Ba'avan Amar Shmuel, Mushchani Areiki Golo Yuchs. We had before. Yeah, I think we had it before. That Mushchani is good. What do we say is good?
Mushchani B'chlal. We were talking about Mushchani. It's not B'chlal.
That was in the parentheses before. That what did Shmuel say? Ad Mushchani. That the Diglas, the north of the Diglas, is going to Mushchani. First, the Gemara told Mushchani is not good. Shmuel says Mushchani is great. Okay, so there Mushchani was great, and here he's saying that it's one of the 10 cities that the 10 tribes went to, so it's not great. Says a kasha. That's the kasha over here. Kasal Kedaita that Mushchi is Mushchani, and here Shmuel, contradiction in Shmuel. Shmuel here says that Mushchi is not good, and over there he said Mushchani is good. Okay, so it's not the same place. Mushchi and Mushchani not the same place. Mushchi is not good. Mushchani is good. Period. And the next Gemara comes in. I'm not sure how it came in. I'm not sure how it's coming in now. Oh, it comes in because of Chilazon. So this is also a side point, because it says here Chilazon, So that's how the Gemara comes in. And there's a pasuk over here about this goes back to so we're still under the Chilazon over here. Even though I put in over here another title called Mushki. That's a side point. That's in the middle of the sugya. And we go back to the point of Chilazon. Pasuk in the Nil. Utla selin b'fuma ben shina. Maybe we'll put a pasuk over there just to make the pasuk. Utla selin b'fuma ben shina. There were 3 bones and between the teeth of the bear. It is talking about a vision that Daniel had, and he saw that's what the 4 golios. There's going to be other animals over there, different animals. So 4 animals. Ilan, I think, is ribs. They translate or bones. It had 3 bones in its mouth. There was a bear. He saw a vision of a bear that had 3 bones in its mouth. And what are the 3 bones referring to? That's the mashal. That's the vision that Daniel saw. Rabbi Yochanan Zuchi Lazam Chadayev V'Netziven. These are these 3 cities. We mentioned it before. Chilazar, we said that's going to be Chalach. And what do we say about Chadayev? We mentioned that also. That was Chavor. Chavor was Chadayev. And Netziven, also a city over there. And that's called that the bear had these 3 cities in its teeth. Why is that? Shepamim Bolatan or Pamim Polatatan. These 3 cities were sometimes under the Persian rule, sometimes not. That's why it's called that. It's like a bone sticking out of its teeth. Sometimes it's in its mouth, sometimes it's out of its mouth. So that was how it came in. This Gemara came in because of that possible thing about Chilazon. Maybe just to point out that that's the Chilazon over here that we were mentioning about. Okay, I wanted to make it blue, yellow, whatever. It's good. Chilazon. Fine. Okay. The Gemara goes once mentioning Psukim in Daniel because of this Chilazon thing. I'll erase it that I shouldn't get mixed up. Fine. So we go on to the pasuk, another pasuk over there in Daniel, and this is the pasuk. Va'aru. Pasuk starts. Va'aru. Chayva acharei acharai tinyana dam yiladov. There was another chaya. This is in the vision of Daniel. Another chaya that I saw. Tinyana means the second one, similar to a bear. And doesn't say in the vision what the bear is supposed to represent. What was it symbolic of? Taniyat Yosef Edu Parsi. That's talking about the Persians. That was the galus of the Persians. Why is it called? Why is the Persians compared to a bear in the vision? They have 4 similarities to a bear. They eat and drink like a bear, which eats a lot, and they are very fat, like a bear, and they also have a lot of hair like a bear, and they not at rest. They're never at a rest. They're always moving like a bear. Bear doesn't rest. He sleeps for 6 months, but when he's up, he doesn't stop. The Gemara goes into this a little bit. I think it's only because the pasuk before about the tlasilin of the bear. So Chilazon mentions it goes into the pasukim over there already. When Abami would see a Persian riding a horse, he would say, "There's a moving bear," because he called the Persians a bear based on the pasuk in Daniel. Amle Rabbi LeLevi. Rabbi asked Levi. So Rashi says that Levi, he knew how to give him a shalom. He was a good mashal person. So Harani Parsiim, what's a mashal? Give me a mashal. What's a mashal for the Persians? Amalei domim l'chayol shel David. They're similar to the army of David. So Rashi says that they were giborim. They were very strong, and the same way David's army was very strong, the Persians were strong like David's army. Habeni chaborim, show me the chaborim, another nation called chaborim. So he said, domim l'malach chavala. They're like destructive angels, very destructive. Harani Ishmaelim, give me a mashal for the Ishmaelim. Domim l'sim shel Beis HaKisei. They're like the demons of the Beis HaKisei. I guess they knew how they looked also. Harani Tamid about black. Okay? We knew how the Seirim look. We knew how these shadim look. Seirim.
Seirim. Or what?
It's some kind of, the Gemara said, the pasuk says, does the pasuk say? No, the pasuk says shadim. The pasuk says shadim, demons. They translated. But where do we have? The pasuk says something about Seirim Yirak Dusham. Was what? Seirim Yirak Dusham. The pasuk talks about shadim. The pasuk doesn't say Seirim in the Torah.
I'll say that Lee's boy.
Nasi, you're right. Thank you. Lasirim, Hashem Zevchem. Okay, thank you, Mamish. That the pasuk also calls the shadim Seirim, and it seems they had a picture of them, how they looked. So these Ishmaelim look like these Seirim. What's the mashal Shebabel? What's the mashal for the Tamid Chachamim of Babel? The answer was Domim l'Malachi Yesharis. They look like ministering angels. Rashi says they're dressed in white. I guess that was the custom in Babel. The Tamid Chachamim wore white, or they looked angelic. That was all.
You said it was white.
Rashi explained the Malachi Asheris were white.
No, you don't have to. You could say.
They looked angelic. They looked like angels. So I'm putting all this in parentheses because it only came in because of Chilazon, and it came in because the city of Chilazon, we wanted to know if it's kosher or not. That was our subject, if it's a good kasher. So all this subject was all about Chilazon. Agab, we got something about Mushki, side point, and then we bought some Agarata because of the city of Chilazon, which is Halach. And once mentioned that, there's some sukkim about the beer over there, that's Persians. Okay, looking more back to Yichus. When Rebbe was dying. Omar. So it says, Rashi has a long list of things that Rebbe said, and only the beginning is it was relevant to us, a couple of things in the beginning, but it goes on and says other things also that Rebbe said. Rashi says was like Nevuah, like Ruach HaKodesh, when he was dying, he said a list of things that he couldn't have known. He said like this. The first thing he said, Homania Ika Babel, there's a nation in Babel that's called the Homanians, and you should know, Kul Amonai, they're all Ammonim. The name was also very similar. Oman, Ammon. So they're really Ammonoi, which is now that's relevant to know if they're going to become a Megayah, that they're Ammonim, and they're not allowed to marry. They can't marry like a regular ger because they're from Ammon. Mizgaraya Ikababa, there's a nation in Babel that's called Mizgaria. Kula, they're Mamzerahi, they're all Mamzerim. That family or that place is called Mamzerim. Birka Ikababa, there's a place called Birka, and you should know that over there, there are two brothers that swap wives with each other. So the mamzerim flying around over there. Or at least that in that family, there's a mamzerim over there. Birta the Satya Babel. There's another place called Birta the Satya in Babel. Today they went off the derech. They went off the derech today. What happened? Today, the Akvi period, it seems it was Shabbos, or maybe today, yesterday, they recently went off the derech. The Akvi period, and Rebbe couldn't have known this, only because he had Ruach HaKodesh now when he was dying. The Akvi period, Kavri b'Shabbata, that somehow, what's Pira mean? Rashi says, Brecha, pool. A pool of water surrounded, had fish in it, it overflowed, and it became that it was easy to catch fish. There was a pond of fish that overflowed on Shabbos, and they fished. They got the fish on Shabbos. You're not allowed to trap on Shabbos. They captured, they trapped the fish on Shabbos. And Rabbi Yoshi was there in Birsa the Satya. They put them in Chayrim because they Machal Shabbos. And they went off the derech. It became Shmad. They went off the derech. I'm not sure what the word Shmad means. That Mishumah, that's what they used to use. Nechras, Bishtamud. But okay, it is interesting. The verse of the Sati, the word Sati means to go to beer. I'm not sure if that's what the Drash is over here. Even though it might have been called beer Sati before that, but that was the. And Rabbi Achi, Rabbi Yoshia, and as a result of that, they walked, and they weren't supposed to. They were supposed to come back and say, "Please take off the shamta, we can do tshuva," but they were rebellious. And Rebbe continued and saying, "There's a place called Akrodagma, and over there is Ada Bar Abba Yishba. There's a person who lives over there, Ada Bar Abba. Hayom Amad Beis Hayom." Today he's sitting in the bosom of Avrohom Avinu. What does that mean? So Rashi has two pshat. One is that he died that day. One is that it was his bris milah that day. Another thing Rabbi said, Hayom Rabbi Ravida Babava. Ravida was born today. And that's the end of the memories.
That's something that upset all this.
Rabbi, a day he was dying, he said that today Ravida was born. He wasn't called Rav Yehuda, he was Yehuda. But Rav Yehuda is going to be growing up in a couple of years. He was born today. And he's in Babel. All this is the prophecy. Ruach HaKodesh, he couldn't have known. And now the Gemara mentions that we know this is true, that the attack historically happened. When Rabbi Kiva died, the day. It doesn't say exactly the day, but this one was the day. But here it says when Rabbi Kiva died, Rabbi was born. Rabbi know Rav Yehuda. That's what we just mentioned now. That's our point over here. When Rabbi died, Rabbi Yehuda was born. We have extra credit here. The point we wanted is this one. Kishamei's Rebbe, Nolad, Rav Yehuda. And the rest of them is extra credit. Kishamei's Rav Yehuda, Nolad, Rava. It goes one after that. You have Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Yehuda. When Rabbi Yehuda died, Rabbi was born. Kishemesh Rabbi Noda Ravashi. And when Rabbi died, Ravashi was born. What do you see from all this? That Hashem never lets Am Yisrael be without a leader. Hashem doesn't let a tzaddik leave in this world until an equal tzaddik is born to take his place. Shenemar, first white line, Bezarach Hashemesh, Uva Hashemesh. The sun shines and the sun sets. And the drash is, the more starts even earlier in history. You see the same thing. Before the son of Eli set or got extinguished, so the son of Shmuel, the son, S-U-N, the son of Shmuel, Aramasi, was born. Now here doesn't mean the day. Here means that Shmuel overlapped. But when Eli died, Shmuel was already able to take over. So the pasuk is really talking about literally over there that the light didn't go off and Shmuel was sleeping, but the Gemara is saying in Drash that now the Kim is Eli, that the light of Eli that was before was extinguished, Shmuel was already on call. The Gemara is the pasuk over here. All that came in Agav. This was not the point. That was the list of things that Rebbe said, and there was about the Yechusim in the beginning, about the Ammonim and about the Mamzerim. The pasuk continues more about Homanya. Yeah, this is also part of the Homanya over here. We just said the Homanya with the Ammonim. This is I shouldn't take. I have to take out the end parentheses. That's a mistake. It's not yet over. Tziva Adonai LiYaakov Sibivav Tzarav. The pasuk says in Eicha that Hashem commanded that around Yaakov should be his enemies. That's a pasuk in Eicha. But the more astonishing, not only when they were in Eretz Yisrael, they had enemies. Even when they came to Bavel, they still had the same enemies that were surrounding them in Bavel. It means their neighbors. There are some of the Goyim that lived in Eretz Yisrael, near Eretz Yisrael. They also were exiled together with the Jews, and the Jewish neighbors were very old enemies. So that was a big punishment. Even when they exiled, so now they're in Bavel, they still have their bad neighbors. So what does it say? We said before that Homanya was the Ammonim, that the city in Bavel, and they were Ammonim, and that Pumnar was Jewish city, and Homanya was an Ammoni city. So even in Bavel, they also had problems from the Ammoni neighbors. The pasuk, this is the pasuk now that comes up, and it's a long pasuk. We'll try to. How does it come in now? Why is this Gemara going to come in? It's going to talk about Bas Yisrael. I forgot how it comes in. Because you remember how it comes in?
No, I'm trying to figure it out.
Okay, we'll start. New again. Here's the pasuk. A pasuk Vahikin of Yecheskel was prophesying. And he had a nevuah, and in his nevuah he saw that a person, Platyo ben Benayo, died. Here's the pasuk. When Yecheskel was prophesying, and I saw in the nevuah, Platyo ben Benayo died. And I fell on my face and I cried out as a loud voice, "Woe Hashem!" So what did he care about? What was he wailing about? Rav Shmuel, what was he wailing about? One said he was wailing because he was a good man that died. And one says he was a bad man, this Platyo ben Benayo that died. And Yecheskel Hanavi was upset that he died a peaceful death, that he was a bad man, and he was wailing that he didn't get a deserving enough death. He died too peacefully. What was the good about Platyo ben Benayo? The story was that the governor of Meshan, that's what comes in, Meshan, because of Meshan. So we'll make that to be the subject over here. Meshan is the subject. We said before, Meshan is a very bad yichus. And we said also that they said something about Avodim over there. Avodim? Mamzerim. Didn't say Dafka Avodim. What? Over there it said Azim. That's all it says. This is Azim. And Azim we had in the Gemara as far as Avodim also. It didn't say Dafka Mamzerim. We had a Gemara that said the Kahanim that got mixed up over there by Pashko ben Imer. So it doesn't say Befeh. But Meshan had very bad yichus. So the governor of Meshan, this is in the time of the Korban Bais Rishon, that Nebuchadnezzar was the king, and he took Jews into exile back to Babel. And the governor of the city Meshan, which is in Babel, Chasnei Nebuchadnezzar, he was the son-in-law. The governor of Meshan was the son-in-law of Nebuchadnezzar. Shalach Leis, he sent his father-in-law Nebuchadnezzar, from all of the captivity, the hostages, all the captivity that you brought back from, not hostages, captivity, all the captivity that you brought back from Eretz Yisrael, he didn't send any servants for us. My son, your son-in-law, give me some servants from the Jewish exile. He was going to send some Jews, like his son-in-law asked for. Flatio ben Benayo, who was the Jew of the Jews that were exiled to Babel, he said to Nebuchadnezzar, we the Jews, that we're more chashuv, so we more than our slaves. We have slaves also. And you exiled us and our slaves. So we that are chashuv, so it's fitting for you that we should be your servants. And you want to send to your son-in-law, so send him our servants. We that are chashuv, it's proper that we should stand before you over here. And our slaves should be given as servants to Meshan. That was what happened. That's what Platio ben Benayo did. And he did a good thing. That was a good thing that he saved the Jews from not having to be slaves to the son-in-law of the king. They were slaves to the king, which is more honorable for the Jews. And therefore, the Cheskel said, woe, he was wailing that somebody did the good thing. He should die so young, like 35, whatever. He died, and the Cheskel wailed. Why should he deserve to die? Tzaddik, he saved himself from being a vadim. That's one shot. Mandam the one who says that he really was a bad man, and therefore Cheskel was wailing that he didn't get enough of the punishment, but is dying peacefully. So here's going to be a long pasuk. I think this is even longer than before. Let's try to highlight that.
The one that said that was wailing for good was because
he was a good man.
Good.
He was a good man. Good man. What did he do good? That he got Am Yisrael not to be slaves to the governor of Meshan, but rather to the king. And that's more respectable for the Jews. Here goes another pasuk. Long pasuk. Okay. Just going to try to emphasize it before we read it. But so this is also in the vision of Yecheskel. Yecheskel had a vision. He was in Bavel, and he had a vision of what's happening in Eretz Yisrael. I saw in a vision that I was taken to the eastern gate of the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash was still standing at the time. It was still standing. I had a vision of what's happening in Eretz Yisrael. And the wind brought me, as if in my dream, my nevuah. So the wind brought me to the eastern gate of the Beis HaMikdash. And by the eastern gate were 25 men. And amongst 25 people, I saw two people I recognized, Yazaniel ben Azur and Platio ben Benayo. Here he is again, Platio ben Benayo. And the pasuk also says over there, the malach, I forgot the wind or the malach, escorted me to the inner courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. And in front of the Heichal, Pesach Heichal, between the Ulam and the Mizbeach, Mamish in front of the Heichal, there were also 25 people. Their backs were to the Heichal, and they were facing eastward. They weren't facing the Beis HaMikdash. They were facing away from the Beis HaMikdash. Their backs were to the Beis HaMikdash. And that's what Gemara asked. The Gemara interjects now. If it says that they faced east, I know that their backs are to the Beis HaMikdash. It doesn't have to say that. Don't I know that their backs are towards the west? So it didn't have to say their backs were towards the Heichal and their face was towards the east. I know. It would have been enough just to say, you don't have to say at the beginning, their backs were to the Heichal. Why does it emphasize that? That they were showing disdain and disgust, and they uncovered themselves, and they, what's the word in English?
Defecated.
What?
Defecate.
Defecated. Thank you. Defecated.
Which word?
No, the word mafri, no, it doesn't say literally. Mafri means to uncover. Mafrizin means to shoot out, but it means they shot out excrement that they defecated towards the Beis Hamikdash. So that's what he saw in the dream of these 25 people doing, and Platio ben was one of them. So Karmanavi, he deserves to die a peaceful death. Somebody who did such a terrible thing deserves to die on his bed. Means of course he deserves to die, but on his bed, a peaceful death. So those are the two pshatim, Rav and Shmuel. If Cheskel was upset that a tzaddik died, or he was upset that a Rasha died peacefully. This time the Shmuel who Dama al I can bring a proof that Shmuel is the one who says that he did bad. That he did bad. How do you know? Mushchani is a kosher place. That's a kasha. That's the end of the kasha. What's the kasha now? How do we get into Meshan? Because this is back to the whole thing. Okay, we brought the whole thing just for the beginning. Over there it says that Meshan, the governor of Meshan, asked for slaves, and Platio ben Benayo, the good thing that he did was that he got slaves to go there. Instead of taking Bnei Yisrael, he took his slaves. The Jewish slaves went to be Meshan. That's all the Gemara wants from the whole story. We got a lot of other information from the story. All we want is this point. It comes out that Meshan, in the times of Nebuchadnezzar, there were Jewish slaves that were sent over there, Avadim. So you do have Avadim in Meshan. So it's not a kosher place. It has Avadim mixed in. That's the Morris Kasha. Not a kasha. That's the right. That the Shmuel is the one that's Shmuel's concerned about the bad, and because Shmuel wouldn't say it's good. Yeah, he doesn't hold it the first thing. One of them said that he did a good thing. Shmuel can't say he did a good thing because the good thing would have been that he got Avadim to go to Meshan, but Shmuel holds that Meshan is a good yichus, so he couldn't have held that the good thing that Platio ben Benayo did was to get Avadim to go to Meshan because he holds there were no Avadim in Meshan. That's the Gemara's cheshbon. What's the answer? Meshan. Lo chashuv lo mishum avdus, lo mishum mamzerus, ela kohanim shal yuba lo fidu al grushos. No, I'm saying
only chalolim. There's no problem of avodim and nation. Only chalolim. So Shmuel can't be the one who holds the title.
So the kasha is not over yet.
This
One second, I'm mixed up here. This is still not finished. Not a period over here. This is still talking. This is still part of the kasha, right? That Mushchani Mushchani. Oh, that's not again. Mushchani is not the point. Mushchani parentheses. Thank you. Mushchani is not the subject. Thank you. So what does Shmuel say? That Meshan is not a problem of Avadim. Mamish, thank you for. Meshan is not a problem of Avadim. It's not a problem of Amzerim either. But the Kohanim over there was a problem that they didn't mark with the married Grushos, and therefore you had over there Chalalim. So again,
that was the whole problem.
So Shmuel says that everyone else Meshan had problems. Don't quite, Meshan had problems. Meshan was not a good yichus. What was the problem? But Shmuel said, he personally said that Meshan, the problem of Meshan was Chalalim. That the Kohanim were not makbid on Grushos, and therefore you had Chalalim, but there was no problem of Avadim and Mamzer. And here, somebody, either Rav or Shmuel, somebody said that Meshan did have an admixture of Avadim. So it couldn't be Shmuel. That's the kasha. Thank you. Thank you, Professor. So the answer is, I could say that Shmuel did hold to that story, and they did send over there Avadim, but Shmuel that it could be that they sent their Avadim, but they sent their Avadim by sending them, and now they don't belong to them anymore. The Jews sent their Avadim to go to the governor of Meshan, and that thereby they freed them. And if they free them, it could be they don't need to get shechur, and therefore they're not any of them anymore. They get Eved Meshuchra. Eved Meshuchra is okay. The Jews are allowed to marry Eved Meshuchra. The person says any slave who is bought by money. So that's interesting. You don't have to say that. The word ish. The word ish is the drasha. Why does it say Eved ish? Eved ish for Eved isha. There's no difference if it's owned by a man or a woman. So why does it say that? Ella, the drasha is going to be Eved sheish lo rishus l'rabo alav kori Eved. Eved shein lo rishus l'rabo alav en kori Eved. That only somebody who has a master is called an Eved. If he doesn't have a master, he's not called an Eved. And therefore, automatically, as soon as he gets freed monetarily, the master doesn't own him anymore, the monetary value, so he doesn't need to get shikhr anymore, and therefore, he can hold the story. So to sum up the whole Gemara over here, Meshan is a puzzle problem. It's a puzzle. What's the problem about it? So we might have thought Mamzerim and Avadim, But here Shmuel said that Meishan is found only a Chalalim. It's only a question for the Kohanim. Otherwise, you could marry. Even though before said that it's dead. It's dead as far as Kohanim, but it doesn't mean Mamzer and Avadim. And here is a story that Meishan, they sent Avadim over there. So it could be that he agrees to it. Shmuel agrees that was a problem of sending Avadim, but that wasn't a problem of Avadim because the mice, when they sent them, they automatically become free, and then they would not be Avadim anymore, so there wouldn't be a Yichus problem mitzad Avadim. The only problem was that,
That's what you would say for the good.
and he could have said, he could have agreed to the story, right? He could have said, so we don't know. Somebody says somebody, Rabbi Shmuel, we don't know, but it's no kasha because Meishan could be possible only for Kohanim, because even though Avadim were there, but they were freed, and the monetary freedom already gives them halachic freedom, and there would be no problem if the Jews would have married. Okay, so we'll stop over here, and we're up to Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel. To be continued, 3 o'clock. Okay, it's a big daffin over here. Have a good Shabbos. Have a good Shabbos. Everybody.
Good Shabbos.